it scared me. It's been plenty of times where I would think, oh my God, they're going to take our apartment. The lights are going to get cut off now. And my other friends are just playing with their Barbie dolls, not having to worry about none of this. I could have had one of the biggest spas right now if I had the money to open up a new spa out here, and I don't. Finances are down the drain.
So would you agree that you have only yourself to blame for that?
Yes. So I'm like, heck yeah, I don't care how much I pay a month. I want it now, which was a dumb mistake. So freaking dumb. I'm like, how do I get rid of this car payment? And I thought maybe bankruptcy would be the best way. That's what's making me now try to get myself 100% together before I even get back in a relationship with someone.
Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Real Money Habits with me, Sharan Amit. Today, we are talking to Didi. Didi is a coda. Yes, similar to the award-winning Apple movie from a couple of years ago. So she had an interesting childhood. She built a thriving business, but neglected to do any savings or plan for future. It all came crashing down during the pandemic. And now she is struggling financially. Now older and wiser, she reflects upon what she could have done differently and how she plans to build her life going forward. So here is Didi.
My name is Debra Bias. Everybody calls me Didi. I am here because I wanted to explain what finances mean to me. They actually mean everything from your home, from out to eat, from just entertainment. Your finances are your number one thing. They actually, make or break you. So I want to talk about them and get some advice.
Okay, that's interesting. So the way you define finances, what I heard you is you look at the practicality of it, right? That how important they are in your day-to-day life. They make you basically need them to live your daily life, right? Is that what you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's one interesting way to look at it, definitely. And then there are no two ways about it. Finances are important. Everything in this modern world requires money. So we'll talk about your money journey and where you are at in the journey, and we'll see if we can contribute in some way in influencing it positively. So have you always been in near Riverdale or near Atlanta, or you recently moved here?
No, I definitely recently moved here. I've been here for a year. I moved from Chicago, Illinois, right after COVID.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
So is Chicago the place where you grew up?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wow. It's like main Chicago?
Yes, outside of Chicago, the Windy City. It's amazing.
I've been there. Yeah, it's a nice city, very happening city for sure. So tell me something about your childhood. How did you grow up and how it was while growing up?
So I grew up the only child to two deaf parents. Both of them cannot hear or speak. So I grew up faster than everybody else. I had to take care of my parents while they took care of me. We would go to the bank, the stores, and they would ask me to actually translate what they wanted from the bank. And I had to understand. I had to have my parents' voice and make sure that they got what they needed. So I grew up a little bit faster than everybody else. But, it's taught me, when I was like 21, it taught me how to try to finance and budget and things like that.
That's that's interesting. I am sure it was tough growing up like that. And very recently I saw a movie, I believe, right? It was on Apple. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
Very acclaimed movie. I'll have to look up the name.
Mm-hmm.
About this girl who has similar parents. It's a very, I think, I don't know. I wonder if it got some major award or something. It's just very recently, like last year or something. I'll figure that out. But that was very interesting, and it showed how that grows up. But I always like meant to ask, when that happens, was sign language the first thing you learn even before you learn the actual language?
Yes, yes, it was. My mom would point to things like, this is the garbage. And I would say, oh, okay, garbage. This is money. And, after she would teach me, she would talk to my grandmother. And I actually had to get babysat by my grandmother in the afternoons when my mom went to work. So I would go over there and my grandmother would say it like, this is money. Your mom taught you it in signs. So it was very easy for me to learn both languages at a young age, which is like, what? But when we're younger, we actually soak more in and we can actually learn faster than an adult, I think. That was my experience.
That's very interesting, and I agree that does happen. Human mind has immense potential. What happens is, and it's very interesting, and it's also relevant in our context. What happens, TD, is that for a child's mind is a blank canvas, right? So whatever you teach her, she is willing to kind of learn and absorb, and it has not been polluted by anything else of the world. So you will see that the child is so much capable of learning whatever is thrown at her, right? Like how you said. And today, if somebody tells me, I'll find it so difficult to learn that language, but you could pick up the normal language as well as that language, sign language, at the same time, and then do it so easily. What happens is, as time grows, as we become older and older, we start getting all the information from the world and from parents, teachers, society, and then we start building this belief system in ourselves, like what we can and cannot do. And at times that belief system, like even before I start learning sign language, I know I am telling myself, oh, it's going to be very, very difficult. I can't imagine learning that. And then it is going to be very difficult for me.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the challenge. As grown-ups, like how do we get back to the childlike manner of learning? Anybody who can do that can do practically anything in this world.
Yes.
So it's really interesting.
Imagination. Like we have to go back to that part of us, the childhood part of us. And that's how you just fluctuate and get things that you want. And you see it before it happens. And I use my imagination all the time. But not with this money, I don't.
So this, by the way, the movie that I was talking about is Coda, CODA.
Oh, no, I did see. Okay, of course, I'm the Coda. Yes, that's what they call children of deaf parents. They call us
Yeah.
Codas.
Exactly. So that movie was nominated for Best Picture and all that, right? Just a couple of years ago. Very interesting. And you're right. You said you are the Coda. So
Yes.
I'm privileged to be talking to the Coda girl today.
Yes, thank you.
Very good. So what did your parents do, Didi?
Well, my mom, she does not work. And my father, he works at the post office. He does the mail loading and unloading on the trailer tractor thingies. I forgot what you call those. The little tractor.
So, but since both were working, how would you define your, the financial condition of your household while growing up? Would you say you were middle class, lower middle class, or?
Say we were probably lower middle class growing up. My mom worked back in the day, but she had short-term jobs. And my father, he's been there now about 40 years. He's about to retire. So he was working. He was the breadwinner. But it was not as much as we wanted back in the day.
I understand. And again, for most of the people, that is true for like 90% of the population, because world has changed for the better in terms of finances and facilities that people have. So most of us have grown up where money was a bit tight, right? So I am sure a lot of folks in the audience can identify with that. But tell me what lessons you drew, again, while growing up, looking at the situation. What was your impression of money? Is it something which is scarce, which you should be very careful about? Or the other way around, that even though money is difficult, but this is something which we don't discuss. Things get done, but let's not talk about money. How was it?
Well, with me, it was actually my dad had all of the money, but my mom paid all of the bills. So it seemed to me that money had to, the man had to work for it, the woman had to figure it out. So my mom instilled in me kind of hold on to money, pay the bills, pay everything first, even if you don't have a dollar left, So it was like money is tight in the house. You only have to enough to pay your bills, and you just have to struggle.
I see. So you grew up seeing the traditional way where you said the man brings in the money and then it's up to the woman to sort of manage whatever is given to her. So I would call it an early lesson in budgeting and management. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. It's just that me being a single woman, now I've messed up my finances and how to do it. And because I don't have that partner in the home like my mom did, and it's just me, and I'm just spending and need some help.
Right. So you have always seen that partnership between two adults, like the two partners who do it together, which in itself is very good and nice. But like your own story is telling, it's not always possible. So on one hand, it's beautiful that two people are working together, helping each other and running the household, including finances. But on the other hand, because you do not control the other individual, right? Even if you have a significant other today, there is no guarantee that he or she would be around later, right? So it's very important for an individual also to have all those skills, right? And not shy away, do not sort of slot yourself into one role versus another, because life throws a lot of curveballs and you may find yourself performing the other role which you had thought your partner would do.
Yeah.
We'll touch upon that too. Now, while you said that you started taking off responsibilities of family pretty early on, so how old were you when you sort of started doing taking any responsibility? And it may not be monetary responsibility at first. I'll be interested to know what kind of responsibility you started with and at what point it became like monetary and like you started earning.
Oh, probably about 7 years old. I had to help my mom out with absolutely everything. We would go to the grocery store and she would say, how much? And, just how much is it? And I would tell her how much it is. So that's just helping her with her money and, making sure she's getting the right change back until, probably when I was 16. And now I'm going to the banks with her and actually, talking to and handling her business, calling the cable people and getting our cable on and gas on, just doing all of these things. I know how to do it now at 16, get an apartment and everything like that. I was helping them do everything as an adult to them. I was a child helping them get everything.
Yeah, and you had a unique situation because of your parents' disability. So I can understand. I can't really blame them either, right? And neither can you. But having said that, if I just look at it from your perspective, from a child's perspective, regardless of the circumstances, which granted were tough, right? It's never easy when a child is growing up. She needs to be protected. At that point, if you are just thrown out there, for example, did you have had to do any conversation where it was a difficult conversation? For example, something is in collections or like you said, they have disconnected power and you're negotiating with them and maybe the other party is either threatening or using words which they should not, but normally a child should not have to deal with it.
Yes.
Do you recall any such experience?
Oh my goodness, yes. Plenty of times, somebody would have a bill that needs to be paid that's behind. My dad's car note one time, 3 months behind. They called and said that it was going to get repoed. And I think that I didn't know the right sign for it. So he went crazy. Like my dad was screaming and yelling and hollering, and it scared me. I didn't know what was going on. He was like, they don't come and take my car. They better not. And I didn't understand it because I'm like, okay, we call them every month. They're nice to us every month. Now they're telling you something that is, making you so angry. It scared me. It's been plenty of times where I would think, oh my God, they're going to take our apartment. The lights are going to get cut off now. And my other friends are just playing with their Barbie dolls, not having to worry about none of this.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, a child should not have to deal with it. But again, being a coda is a special case. So, like I said, can't blame your parents either. We just have to deal with what God kind of decided, the life that God decided for us. Okay. So, at what age you started actually earning your own money, and what was it? What kind of job was that?
I think my first job was high school. I was working at Dots. It's a clothing store.
I've seen those.
I was the cashier.
Oh, cashier at Dodge.
Mhm.
And for a high school girl, I'm assuming it would be paying minimum wage.
Oh, it was really probably like $10 or something.
Okay. But that was something, right? So how did you manage that? Like, did you used to do it after school or how
Yes.
was it?
I was a senior, first year senior, first semester senior. And I actually quit probably like 4 months after because it was getting too difficult with school. I was getting tired. My mother's like, you're not waking up on time. So I had to quit.
Okay. So the money that you were earning, were you using it for your own thing? Were you giving it to the family or saving it? How were you, even in those 4 months, your first earnings, how did you spend those?
I definitely kept them to myself. Didn't ask me for any money or anything. So I was like, yay. I probably, you know what? I got them really good gifts, their birthdays. I remember getting them the bomb gifts. They loved them. So I felt like, I'm an adult. I can buy things for people. I didn't have to pay any rent or anything. So it was all to myself.
Okay, good for you. Good for you. And yeah, I think when you start earning first, it's important to sort of enjoy a little bit. But I like that you decided to treat your family, your parents, right? So they were always in back of your mind, which is good. But anyway, the money did not stay for long, right? You had the job only for 4 months. What happened next in terms of, again, finances? When did you work next?
I worked again. I did a couple of movies. Yes, that's when I first started getting into acting. I did a couple of movies, and the first movie I didn't get paid, but the second movie they paid me like $700. So I thought I was like on top. And I tried to do acting and modeling at that time.
So dial it a little bit back. Like it's not something which everyone does. Like it's not a so-called regular job. So
Why?
tell me, how did you get into it, right? How was the break?
Oh, because my friends, they were doing, these little movies and like skit things back in the day. And they were actually getting money and grants from the government to make them. So they're like, D, you want to be in my movie? I got a grant. We could do this and that. I'm like, yeah, cool. And now some of them are on like the little platforms, Tubi and Amazon Prime. So I'm like, look at me back in the day.
That's really nice. Very interesting. So you had friends who were maybe students of filmmaking and other things, and they got grants to do these programs. Very nice. So that was smartly done. And did you build on that? Like initially when you got into movies, one is the money part. And like you said, it was paying you good money. But career-wise, did you build on the acting career or you decided to take a different direction?
At that moment, it wasn't a lot in Chicago to do. They always wanted you to travel to LA, of course, in these bigger cities. So I had to get a job. So I started working at Subway. That didn't last too long. But what did last was I worked at the Institute of Health and Human Performance as a wellness coach. Yes, so that lasted. We traveled. They took me from city to city to help these people, learn how to bend their knees when they pick up their boxes and just make sure that they were conscious of what they were doing. So it was a really cool job, and it paid good money, finally.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. But before we talk about this job, were you enjoying acting when you were doing it with your friends?
Oh, I was. I loved it. And, I wanted to get back in it, but it was just not that many opportunities. So I put this on the back burner. I put it in my head when I was about 20, 21. I'm going to come back to this. So we'll come back.
Oh. And then looks like you have. So you were telling me. So we'll talk about that. But tell me this, and again, this is for our audience also to know, right? You liked acting and you were enjoying it. You saw it as an opportunity, but it required certain adjustments. For example, jobs and money was not easy to come by, at least in the beginning, probably. It required travel. Do you think that if your family's economic situation was better, and if you had more support, right? If there was somebody, like be it parent or mentor, whatever, somebody comes and say, hey, Didi, you have a couple of years, don't worry about it, finances,
Yes.
live your dream, figure it out. You think that would have set you up for success sooner and kind of allowed you to go figure it out?
I definitely think that would have made me just already skyrocket. You have to have somebody to invest in you. But I didn't have anybody that would say, okay, Dee, you said you want to do this, you need help with that. I don't even have pictures, and you have to have a headshot.
Portfolios.
So,
Yeah, headshot.
And if they were back in the day, not as expensive as now, but back, I'm like, that's $100. I don't know where I'm going to get $100 from. And once I got that $700 from the movie, I had to spend it on stuff, or I just wanted to get this and that. And my mom said, let me get some money. And it was just like, once you get it, it's gone. So if you don't have, the means in your family or somebody to help you, then you can't go forward, really.
Right. And then that's where they say that kids from, say, either rich families or all, it goes on cycle, right? They become bigger achievers, and they're able to do things. A lot of it is also to do with the support system that they might have. On the very first podcast of this series that we are recording, I spoke to Alex, and he specifically highlighted that one point that kids with a lot of support system, they have all kind of coaching and programming and help right from childhood. So by the time they are ready to face the world, they already have gotten so much. And then, like you said, if they have to create a portfolio, headshot, travel somewhere, they have all kind of support system that allows you to kind of bring the best out. Right. So
sure.
At times we are not set up for that. So the goal should be, like, again, you cannot change the past. And of course, you cannot change your parents either. But the goal should be, for all of us, the goal should be to try and make it better for our next generation, right? Because we've gone through it, you've seen what kind of difference it can make to a child to have the right support system during those crucial years while growing up, and then when you're just transitioning into a career. At that point, if we are not in a hurry to sort of throw them out and say, go figure it out, if we can just support as parents, support them for a few more years, that can make a lot of difference.
Yes, it can. And I stayed with my mom and dad split at about when I was 17. So me and my mom stayed together. So I was about 25, and I needed that. I really did. I needed that extra time with my parent to understand the world and still have her hold my hand, because I didn't have enough money to pay my own rent, plus utilities, plus my little car note. I didn't have all that. So she knew that. She's like, you could stay here until you're ready to move out. It's fine.
That's so generous. Right. And I'm sorry to hear that parents split, but at least they were together for long, and you were almost an adult, right, by the time that happened.
Yes.
So I think emotionally apart, but financially, I think it wouldn't have it would have probably would have a major impact if you were younger. So that way, I think it was
It did, actually, at my age, because, my mom, like I said, my father had a better job. She wasn't stable on jobs. So at that point, I don't even think she was working. We had to go stay with my aunt first, and then we got an apartment on the next block from my aunt, probably because she still wanted some type of help from someone, or just to be close to someone. We never really moved too far from my aunt for a couple of years. Then my mom was like on her own and got help from, of course, the government, because she can't hear her talk. So she was able to pay her own rent and bills. And then she met somebody else and got married.
Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, but divorce is tough. And you're saying even for a 17-year-old, it was tough, right? Both emotionally and practically and financially.
Definitely.
Okay. Okay. I can imagine. Um, by the way, since this story has a relatively happy ending, you said your mother found somebody else and she's happy now. So I think we can talk about it, right? The fights in the movie Coda that we're talking about, when they show these individuals, the parents fight, right? Neither of them talk, right? So the fight is almost to the outside world. They don't even know that they're fighting. Yeah, it's a raise what comes on your face and occasional little bit sound, right? And they probably tried to hide it from their daughter by, I don't know, by making some music or some noise, but that was only for the daughter, not for them, because they can't hear anyway. So I don't know if you have any experience about how your parents used to fight.
Well, my parents are there. My mom is loud. She expresses her voice with her sign language. So she would say my name, Debra, Debra, like you would hear it come out. So their arguments are loud. But my dad's kind of meek until he gets mad. Then you start hearing, but he's still like, his voice is softer, but you still hear him trying to express himself. So they're like louder, like, ba ba ba, and the signs are even like bigger. So I knew that they weren't happy.
That's very interesting. So you had an interesting upbringing. Now you're saying you found that job, the wellness job, and that was paying you well. How well, would you say?
Oh, I got paid 17 an hour to start, but I was there about 4 years. So my end pay came out to be, I think, 19. It was $19 and some change. And back then, to me, that was good. I
That's good.
got to move out and get my own place. My car was already paid off at that point. So I felt like I was on top finally. I had everything together.
Okay. So you feel like you're doing a decent job according to what you feel at that point. So what happened next? Like after 4 years, what happened? Did you move up, move down?
Yes, I had moved out from my mom's. Are you talking about after that job?
Financially, did you sort of move up, do something better, or I was talking financially?
So financially, I moved out of that apartment into another apartment. It was still a 1-bedroom, but it was better. The 1-bedroom I had, it was only like $425 in Indiana, which is really cheap for what you get. But it was shabby, my first apartment. So I moved to a way better apartment. It had a washer and dryer in it. I was super excited. It was a little more rent, so I felt like I had a little more challenge on me. And I moved into another job, which was Girl Scouts, which paid a little bit less, but they gave me more hours, and it was near the new house that I moved at. It was right by it, so gas wasn't a problem. And I just said, okay, I felt like I was really in the same spot for a couple of years until I got my last job, which got me my spot.
So how did that happen? Like, what is the story with that? You sort of opened a spa of your own? Or?
So what happened was I was leaving Girl Scouts because I was on Craigslist. This is the craziest. I was on Craigslist and I was looking for gigs, not even jobs. I was just like, I need to make some quick money. And it was the hospital. The doctor's office is right across the street from the hospital. And they were saying that they needed someone to do a wellness program. And I had already been doing that with a previous job, got my nutritional therapist license. So I'm like, I could do this. They never told me till I got there that we had to do body sculpting. And one of them was quill sculpting. And I'm like, what is quill sculpting? And it is fat freezing. And I'm like, what? So I got hired to be the wellness director and do the quill sculpting and the diet program. They had a diet program. I had about 30 to 35 patients that I seen every week, helped them lose up to like 1,100 pounds. So I'm proud of them. But the other people that they had tons of money. They wanted to get their fat frozen off. So they sent me to school in Washington. I got all my certifications. Now I'm the hottest thing it's on 95th. So everybody in Chicago knows it as, the bougie neighborhood. I'm the hottest thing doing these little procedures for these ladies, and it works. Like, they were losing weight. So after that, about 2-3 years, the company was telling me they're going to get bought out. And I'm like, what? And they're like, we're going to get bought out. You're going to get paid less. And I'm just like, forget it. I just said, I knew the people from Washington, D.C. when I was getting trained. They loved me. They were like, if you need anything, call me. I called them. They gave me the connection on getting a portable cool sculpting machine. Got the portable one. I met this lady who was like, you know what? You can definitely rent out my spa, because she moved to California. So I rented out her spa right next to the Millennium Beam. So my office is beautiful downtown. I'm making money like crazy. Like, each procedure, when I was at the hospital doing it, they charged $750. I was only charging $500 per area, per procedure. But I have lots of friends. They wanted to get it. So I'm doing deals left and right. And they're telling people I'm making money until COVID hit. So COVID hit, it was completely all over. I was scared to go and do it, even though I was wearing my mask. I made sure that I use sanitizer. All my products are super, super clean and sanitized. It shut me down.
I can imagine. So you had your business going very well, apparently. You learned that skill when you given an opportunity. You made connections, and then you leveraged those to launch yourself a good business.
Yes.
Like all the making of an entrepreneurial self. So I must commend you for that. COVID was something which nobody could have predicted, right? So obviously that caused a problem. But just before COVID hit, can you tell me how well was your business doing financially again? What kind of money were you bringing in?
So Desculpted, it was called Desculpted Body Expert. It was doing amazing. Like I said, I started off really giving them $500 per procedure. So usually a woman would want to get her stomach and her back, because she has back rolls. So that would be about $2,000 in the front, and just those 2 back rolls usually to start. That's another $1,000. So up to $3,000, sometimes $2,500. I was trying to give as many deals left and right. So my lowest that I would receive, from a cousin or something is $1,000, to hook her up. So the business, I think in the first 6 months, I made crazy. Well, I'll say the first 3 months, it probably was about like 16,000. And because it was quick. I was in there. I only had the business at the spa for about 8 months. Because I was doing it at home first, just to see if it would work with family. And then I got customers. And I'm like, okay, I have to be professional. Let me try to find somewhere, because they're coming in getting body work done at my house. So with the rent and everything, I think maybe 6 months, it was about like 45 with the rent taken out, about 45,000.
Okay, so 6 months you made 45,000 post expenses, you're saying, after paying your rent.
Yes. And it was just me. I didn't hire anybody, nothing.
So you were really rolling, right? 45,000, which is again not gross. You're talking about kind of a net, which is pretty high, right? Post expenses, if you're making 40,000 for 6 months, like 7,000-8,000 a month in profit, is pretty good money. And if it would have just kind of gone on for a few more years, that would have set you up, right? I'm sure.
I would have had to hire, somebody, I think, because I was getting more clients. It only started out with about like maybe 2 to 3 clients a month. But that was enough, because it took a whole day for the procedure to get done for one person, the whole day. And then they were coming back just to get, checked up. And then we were doing skin tightening and everything. So I only needed that. But when everybody word got around, so many people, I'm like, I don't have any time. I can't do it by myself. So I was on the verge of starting to hire employees, and COVID hit.
And that's how it works. Yeah, again, we'll talk about COVID, but hiring employees, maybe opening more branches, those would have been your future, or getting more machines. So things were going pretty well. I have two questions before we talk about what happened next. One is right at the beginning, where you said that all this started from you answering a Craigslist ad, right? So that's very, very interesting.
Crazy.
Right?
I could not believe it when I went in. I said, you want me to do what? And they said, yes. And I'm like, okay. It just sounded so cool. And they were sending me off to school. I'm like, heck yeah, I'll do it.
And that worked out very well for you.
Mhm.
But two things. One is, people don't think that Craigslist will have any credible opportunity, right? So that is one myth buster in your case. But at the same time, the Craigslist ad was in a bit sneaky, right? You yourself are saying they were not very transparent about it.
And it just said, come in, weight loss program. And it was a weight loss program, very, very reputable, everything. But you failed to tell me there was another side to this, which was, I don't know if they thought it would be crazy to say on Craigslist, fat freezer. I don't know. They just did not put that.
Yeah, yeah. So that was very interesting. And but kudos to you that when you found out, it did not immediately get turned off. That, hey, they were not very honest in their ad, so let me just run away. You decided to explore, and of course, like, if it didn't work out, you can always walk away. But it worked out for you, so that's great. And now you had the business for 6-8 months before COVID, and you were starting to make good money. What were you doing with that money, right? Were you keeping it, and did it help you when COVID hit, or what happened? Like, you're bringing 7,000-8,000 a month in profit, and that is a sea change from where you were before that. So tell me, what did you do with that money?
I was very careless. I am not going to lie to you. I kept my business, everything I needed, all the products, I kept that afloat just by Amazon. Thank goodness. Just go ahead and put it on that subscription, so you know it's coming. So the money, I seen that coming out, but I was very careless. I was going out all of the time, going out to eat, going out to the club, and spending money on drinks and nice food. We went out of town. That year, we went out of town 3 times, and it was COVID. Yes, just because. We were by ourselves, but the person I was dealing with, but it was just like, I have the money. I don't want to sit here in that house. Let's go here. And it was a lot of money spent on things that were not necessary. And right now I kick myself in the butt for it, because I had a little savings. Once the spot closed down, I had a little savings to figure out, what am I going to do next? And that was to buy some headshots, get some headshots from one of the world-renowned in Atlanta. He's the best photographer, gets girls all type of auditions and jobs just by their photos. I said, I got enough of that, and just to get a couple of Airbnbs while I'm out there. If I get jobs, a couple of weeks to stay at a hotel maybe. That's all I had enough for, literally.
Okay. And maybe you like you said, you had some savings and that helped you. But am I right in saying this, that if you would have not done all these expenses, if you have been careful with your money, and if you have prioritized building an emergency fund, a savings fund, like if you had that 45,000 with you, you would have been able to maybe after COVID started going down, maybe again open up a new location, even like invest in equipment, invest in whatever is required to launch a new business, and you think you would have been in a much better position if you had that 45,000 saved up rather than spend on drinking and going out of town?
I definitely do. I really do. I truly wish I could have it back, because that would have been my first thing. I still have my equipment. I still have everything. And out here, it's such a bigger platform for body sculptors. It is like everybody wants their body done, because this is like they say, the Black Hollywood. So I came out here thinking, okay, I only got a little money. The best I could do is maybe become an actress in Atlanta. But I could have had one of the biggest spots right now because I met tons and tons of actresses on set and people who just are like, girl, I need to lose a little weight. And I could have helped them if I had the money to open up a new spa out here. And I don't. Finances are down the drain.
So would you agree that you have only yourself to blame for that?
Yes. I do. I mean, because I could blame the person that I was dealing with someone and spending, oh, you don't have it, I'll do it, just doing the most and didn't have it like that. Like I thought I did because I never seen this amount in my bank account. And I got somebody coming next week that's going to give me another 1,000. I'm good. No, it was, no.
Yeah. Okay. So I think these are lessons to be learned. And see, there is no point blaming either a partner or, like you said, anybody, a friend or a client, because when you have money, there will be so many claimant to that money. You will get so many ideas about how you can spend that money.
Yeah.
It can be going out, it can be having fun and people telling you deserve it, or it can be even be well-intentioned investments, right? Buy this thing or invest in something which I have an idea for and I'm your sister or I'm your friend. Invest with me. You'll get all kind of things if you have money, but you just can't blame anybody because that's just how the world works. So you have to take accountability, and I really wish that you get a second chance. I'm sure you're going to be wiser the next time.
Yeah.
This experience which you just shared is again for everybody to listen, that bad times don't last, good times don't last. Hopefully they do, but we are better off assuming that they're not going to last. So when you have some money coming in, you better plan your finances in such a way, assuming that what if things don't last for whatever reason, right? There can be n number of reasons. You got hit by COVID, which was really bad and it was universal. But I've seen several other things happening. Say, heck, a disease, a disability coming your way and you're not able to do your job, right? Some licensing issue happens, rules change, regulations change. Right? There's so many things can happen, right? Somebody sues you and you lose your license, whatever. So we have to always think about what can go wrong and then try and build a cushion and a buffer. Okay, enough said. So you found yourself COVID shutting down everything. Did you still have bills to pay? What about rents and all? Did you get any sort of waiver?
Oh,
or did you immediately close it down?
So at that point, my mom, she got married and she had an apartment where they had, I think it's called like a low income type of deal because she was hard of hearing. So her rent was only $285, and she's like, just move in my apartment. It's fine. And it was free utilities.
I think, yeah.
So,
I think it's Section 8. Section 8 vouchers is what the government generally gives to either low income or, like you said, folks who are on disability and all. So it's practically free. Okay, so you had that option at least to move in with your mom.
Option. I only stayed, like I said, for about two to 3 months because I got calls from Atlanta. They're like, come on down. We want you to do this movie, this, and that. So my sister, she just graduated high school. They had a baby in between. But my sister, she wanted to move. And she's like, well, can I stay at the apartment? And I'm like, I guess so. So I let her stay there, but I still had that $285 bill. So I moved to Atlanta on a whim, and I had to pay her $285 every month, plus make sure that I had a roof over my head in Atlanta, was paying for more photos because, you have to really put yourself out here, paying for gas to go to auditions. I mean, I've been stumped with bills.
I see. So tell me how you're doing now. Like how much you are bringing and what kind of, let's take a quick look, what kind of expenses you have. So as a dispatcher, that's your primary job. I'm assuming that acting doesn't yet pay enough.
No, it doesn't. So I make about $545 every week at the dispatching place. Not that bad, but I mean, I could make more. I need to make more. I want to, get a better place and get my car note all the way paid off without having to worry about that every month. My car note by itself is for $430.
So you pay 430. What kind of car is this?
It's a Jeep Renegade, lime green.
Wow. So it's a nice ride, I must say. I see them on the street. I don't have one. I almost want to drive a Jeep. So that's great. But did you buy it brand new or used?
Yes, it was brand new, 2018.
Oh, so did you buy it during that time when your studio was really doing well, or?
Did I buy it? Well, did you know what? Yes, it was right before. Was it right before? It might have been right before, right in between, but yes, it was right around that time.
So
And
how much did it cost when you?
payment on it. So I'm like, heck yeah, I don't care how much I pay a month. I want it now, which was a dumb mistake. So freaking dumb.
Okay, so you don't need me to tell you. You are acknowledging even before I could say that. How much was the Jeep anyway? How much was the Jeep?
The Jeep is like 30,000.
30,000.
Renegade.
And can you look back and tell me, when you are buying a $30,000 brand new Jeep, how much money was there in your bank account?
In my bank accounts, I probably had maybe like $600 right around that time, because I know it's right before I got the spa, but I was still doing people's massages, so I bought all of the equipment. Yes, so I bought all of that equipment. I probably had $600, and I needed a new car. My old Ford Fusion was acting up, and it was paid off. So I could have just went and got somebody to fix it really, really good, paid that money, and I would have had my paid off car, no bills. But I said, no, I see this lime green Jeep. I couldn't help myself.
Right. And you said everything that I would have liked to say, right? So, but I would still add, right now you're wiser, so you know it should not have been done. But imagine with $600 in account, you bought a vehicle that is like 50 times that amount, $30,000, right? Which you don't have. But hey, at least you like the color, right? At least you got the color you wanted.
That's all I got, because the interest is sky high. I looked at the paperwork probably about 2 years ago, like, why is it so high? Because now I'm not making as much money, so now I'm trying to figure out all my bills. And I'm like, they got me on this interest. I did not remember this number when I was sitting there talking to them. But I guess I was like, okay, yep, I'll take it. So they got me.
Right. So how much more is left on that car loan? Because you clearly can't afford that. You know that, right? So even if you love your vehicle, you either need to retire the note or retire the loan or retire the car.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. The loan, I think I have maybe 17,000, maybe 18. And during COVID, I had to do the 3-month thing, where they told them that I didn't have any money. I just lost the spa. I was coming out here, and they said, well, we'll put your bill 3 months all the way in the back, and you can pay that later. And they didn't tell me that it was going to skyrocket all this interest again. So now I have all these payments in the back that I have to pay after the car is paid for. It's a mess.
It is. So my advice, I've seen many people in your position, you still have $17,000 left. I'm not sure how much the car would be worth or the vehicle would be worth, but you are probably better off getting rid of that and either buy something which you can afford the down payment of, that will be, or rather the full price of, that would be best, or at least the payment would be lower, like where you know that there is a reasonable interest rate and you can complete that in say 3 years or so. That should be the approach. Frankly, with your kind of income, if you are spending say 20% of your income on this car loan, it's pretty high, right? And you need to sort of get rid of that. Okay, what else is your major expense? Like apart from that car loan, how much is your rent?
The rent right now is $485. I'm sharing with somebody else, with my roommate. So,
485 is your share, I assume?
mm-hmm.
Okay. That, again, living in near close to Atlanta, I don't think you can get any better deal than that.
No,
Right.
I had with a
Whether
roommate,
living,
and but with the utilities, that's probably an extra 115.
so 600.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, if you were to tell me that you were renting a house of $1,200 or $1,400, you need your home and all, I would have probably told you that you don't. With your kind of income, you need to be sharing a house, but you're already doing that. Again, it's not idle. I understand that. You don't need me to tell you that ideally you would like a place of your own. But given the condition, I appreciate that you are willing to do that compromise.
Yes, and I have no kids, so right now I feel like it's okay. And then I'm still in Atlanta, trying to, either make it in Hollywood or get a better job at this point, so I can move and have my own place.
Okay. How have you been dealing with credit cards?
Oh, I don't mess with credit cards. I have two credit cards. One is with my bank, Chase, and they just closed it, and I owe them. And the other credit card is a Discovery that I haven't used in years because I'm like, I don't want to mess with it. Well, it's been probably a year and a half. I haven't used it. I don't even know if it's money still on it. I just left it alone after the Chase. I spent that $2,000 so quickly, and now they're after me.
So you are telling me that the Chase card that you had is in collections
Yes.
and you owe them $2,000?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm
Okay.
just waiting for that letter that they send, like, okay, we'll give you could pay this and we'll take your debt away. I'm waiting for that letter.
Yeah, I think, and frankly, Didi, you can be proactive about it. You can wait, or you can even contact them, because that also is taken as good faith that you are trying to clear your debt.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, of course. In fact, the bank likes that. They appreciate that there is somebody who is not waiting for us to, because it's a cost to the bank. If they give it to collection, somebody is calling, it's a cost to them. But if you are calling and offering to settle it, then they know this is one less thing for them to worry about. They may be generous about it. So, and feel free to, in fact, there are many ways to do it. You can even look at some of the things online. You may want to write them a nice letter and maybe paint some story, emotional story around your struggles, and then tell them to help. The thing is, it's always good to pay these debts, because they ultimately reflect on your credit history, and like how you have already missed one chance when you wanted to rebuild your business but you didn't have the savings. I don't want you to be in a situation where you have another chance where somebody is saying, hey, you know what, I will fund, say you find a partner who is saying, I will put down $20,000, you bring 20,000 and let's build this studio again, right? And at that point, your only way is to go to a bank and borrow the 20,000, but no bank will give it to you because you have this credit right thing on your record. So you don't want that to happen. It's always better to sort of clean it up, get your be mindful of your credit score. I don't know if you even know, do you know how much is your credit score as of now?
Oh, it's low. It is. It's in the 500s. It's very low. So I'm trying to rebuild it and everything like that, but it is the car that is trying to just slow me down. So I'm trying to think if I should just go bankrupt, do that, and I don't know. I don't want it to affect me 10 years from now if I do bankruptcy, but I feel like that's my best option right now. I felt like that was the only way they would probably lower my my car note, or even allow me to get another car, because at this point they're going to be like, we're not trading that car in, you owe too much, so I'm like, how do I get rid of this car payment? And I thought maybe bankruptcy would be the best way.
Yeah. So again, I don't have a lot of information to kind of really opine on that. I will suggest that you see maybe a financial advisor. There are advisors who work on an hourly basis who can really go over each number, every number that you have, and then advise you like, or what are debts you have. But know that bankruptcy is not a silver bullet. So sometimes in our society, it has been made like that. People believe that if they don't pay all their bills, like max out on credit cards and then declare bankruptcy, things are good. I've seldom seen people coming out of bankruptcy and rebuilding their life very clearly, except those who are financially very aware, who honestly did not even need to file bankruptcy. So a Donald Trump can file bankruptcy and build a billion-dollar business because they know how to game the system. But for an individual, I have seen that they file bankruptcy and they continue to struggle because it keeps hitting you one after another, right? Like I said, for several years, even though your debts may get cleared, it will not allow you to get another card or any loan. It will be on you for so long. So unless you know that how I'll rebuild my life from here, if you have a very clear plan, it may be a solution. Like if the debt is too much and it's just not letting you breathe, it may be a solution. All I'm saying is don't just do it for the sake of it and just thinking about today that at least tomorrow I'll not have to worry about it. So let me just file bankruptcy. Take a holistic view and see, will this help overall in a long run? But I'm sorry to hear that that is an option that you're having to consider. Do you have more debts? Like I know that your car loan is really bothering you, and then you have credit card in collection. Do you have any other debt that is?
Just some hospital bills, but that's it. Just a lot of hospital bills. I got sick a couple of years ago, and just that.
So hospital bill is another thing which, honestly speaking, they have so many programs. So hospital bill is actually even better than credit card. You call them and you negotiate. It always helps if you have some money to pay them so that they can just take it off. You say that this is all I have, right? So if you owe, say $3,000 and if you say whatever, $1,000 or $600 is all I have, but I have to decide between paying you or paying the credit card company, right? So unless you take it off, if you take the entire 3,000 off, maybe I'll give you the 600 and get it done with one area of my life. They have a lot more flexibility simply because we all know that, honestly speaking, all the medical cost is so inflated, right? That they just want to get as much money as they can. They know that for the 3,000 they're charging you, Didi, I'll tell you, when they go bill an insurance company, they are possibly getting only 300 from the insurance company. But when it comes to bill, an Aetna or Cigna, they have that negotiating power. They are not giving these hospitals big money. They're negotiating hard. But for individuals like us, you and me, these hospitals will come and say you owe so much money. So if you genuinely can't pay, pick up the phone, negotiate. Maybe it'll not work once, call again, and ask them for help. That's one, that they can reduce the amount. Second thing is, which you should say, that I am facing economic hardship. You can even tell them that I am even considering filing bankruptcy. So if there are any programs that I can apply for, a lot of these hospitals are either run by charities or they have some link. And another problem in our country with all these special programs are they have purposefully made it so difficult, so opaque and so difficult that people who genuinely need those programs, they don't know that those programs exist, or they don't know how to access those benefits.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a shame. Yeah, that's why I'm suggesting you please call up these hospitals, ask them, are there programs offered by you or anybody you know which I can apply for? Because then I can because what will happen is the hospital will just guide you, but then that program would pay the hospital. So hospital will get paid. So it's in their interest to tell you that, yeah, this is an institution that works with us. You can apply through them. And I've seen a lot of folks getting such help, right? So try that. And again, if you are able to clear that debt, that will help overall your history. And $2,000, frankly, is also not too much. The credit card debt, if you plan something and if you plan like, say, $200 a month, if you place towards it in 10 months, that goes away.
Yeah.
So your challenge is how to kind of bring in that extra $200. Preferably through a second gig, not just through your job, because you can't keep squeezing the same lemon again and again, right? So you preferably through some gigs. And I know you are interested in acting, but in today's world, there are so many other gigs available. So have you tried any other gig beyond acting too?
Yes, I have. I've done, they are called Bruford Herd. So what we do is go to different events, and sometimes we set up the events, and then we'll work the events. Our last 2 weeks, I was giving away healthy chips And it was like the fire department there. It was at Kroger, a grocery store here in Atlanta, and I made $120. It rained, so I wasn't there the full 8 hours. I was only there like 4.5 hours and made that $125. So I have been really trying, especially right now, to look for gigs because our job is slowing down because of the writer strike that happened and now the actor strike. What we serve celebrities, we do the red carpets, we do the Oscars. Those are what our drivers go out and pick up, celebrities. So now they've cut all my hours at work, and I've been doing gigs just to make it. Yes, I have.
I know. And I'm glad that you are trying other things. But here is another example of unintended consequences. So when the writers and the actors are striking, you're right. You work in an ancillary industry that supports them. And God forbid, but if it continues, a company like yours will be forced to kind of decide on cross-cutting and other things, right? Because you depend on them for your business. Same thing, like I was reading the other day about the beer controversy that we all know about. Like people are not drinking that particular brand of beer. And now they're saying a bottling plant is closing down and they are firing people because this beer is not being used anymore. So there are always unintended consequences which people don't think about. But again, you have been through it once. So that gives you another impetus to try and diversify your stream of incomes because you never know what will happen to one area.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you said you don't have any other debt, correct?
No.
Okay. And so I think my advice would be to try and avoid bankruptcy if you can. Your debt is not too much. We already discussed about how you can negotiate with both credit card company and medical bills, probably bring them down, and whatever it is, you have to kind of plan and pay them off. Fortunately, they are not too much. Your car payment is the biggest problem that you have. It's the cross that is bearing it down. So you need to figure it out. My suggestion would be to cut the cord and sort of sell it or return it, whatever it is, and then figure out, get a car that you can actually afford at this point in your life. That would be the best solution for you. Now, let's switch gears quickly. We are towards the last part of our conversation. I sort of ask some quick question just to look at how you view life, right? So my first question is, like when selecting a partner, right? You have been in relationship today. You told me you're not actively in a relationship now, but when selecting a partner, how important do you think is knowing the financial leanings of that partner, right? How important is that?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I was just in a relationship where I wasn't pushing myself, I think, to what they wanted to see, and that caused us to break up. It really did. Financial issues, which is crazy, but I feel like it was my fault. I was not trying to hustle like I seen them hustling for us, like paying everything, doing everything. And I'm just like trying to pay that car note. That's just, it wasn't up to their par to be in a relationship. And I understood that. And that's what's making me now try to get myself 100% together before I even get back in a relationship with someone.
Okay. So you're acknowledging that probably in the previous relationship, it was you who was not being as responsible as the partner expected, right?
Yes.
So I commend you for that. That shows maturity. But at the same time, I asked this question also because of the viewer should know that in real life, many relationships get affected by finances. So if you don't take care of it or don't really go with your eyes open when you are getting into a relationship, it may lead to much problems down the road. So good to know. Now, second question, Debra, is like, if you had unlimited amount of money, like if money was not a constraint, what is one expensive thing or experience or anything that you would like to buy? Like, what would you spend your money on if you had a good amount of money?
Wow. Me, I would probably buy some sort of like maybe strip mall or strip area where I can have like more resources and more jobs and things like that for the blind, deaf community because my mom is super popular and I know all her friends. None of them are really working, and I just see the potential that they could have because they're human beings. They're just like us, but there's not that much opportunity and resources out there for them. So I would build something huge where they can come to a community center, get jobs, maybe just get information, get experience on how to even work a computer. If they don't know how, I would do something like that.
Okay, that's very nice. That's very nice. So you want to do something for the community of disabled. So that's very noble of you.
Thank you.
But if you were to do something for yourself, what would you spend money on?
For myself, I would probably get me my dream home. Just so I would get that out the way, because that's a worry that people have. You got to set yourself up to where you're not worried about anything. So I would get a home that's paid for, car that's paid for, just pay everything off.
So not have debt, but still have the essentials and some comfort in life.
Yes.
Right? Which is nice, and I can understand from your position where you are. I think that seems aspirational. There are many who sort of take it as regular, like you have a car and a home, and then that's where their aspirations start. What else, right?
Right.
So it's all relative, and I can see that. Then when you have struggle in life, that's the first thing you want to have a peace of mind.
That's it. That's it. Especially when you get older, it's like I used to be like, yeah, I want that nice car. Yeah, I want that dress. I want this. And now I'm like, okay, I've had a spa. I've had all these experiences. I've been out of the country and things like that. Right now, what would make me the most happiest is just that peace of mind. Like I don't have to worry about this, and I can get in a good relationship, and I'm up to par with what my partner needs as a wife. All those things. I just want that to be off my mind.
So that's good. And again, you are wiser with time, even if you would have done mistakes in the past. At this time, I hope we discussed and hope you agree that your first goal should be to get out of debt, and second should be to increase your income. Right? These two combined, along with your experiences of the past, will tell you to kind of value money more. And this time when money comes, you are kind of saving it, preparing for a rainy day, and hopefully the second act would be better. That's what I really wish for. But what is your message, Didi, for somebody who is like younger and or maybe even your situation, right? But what I'm saying is, like, if they have either struggle in life, right, in terms of how you came out of a special situation with your parents and all, so they felt like they're not getting the start, or they had a problem where, like, you had a business which was taken over COVID, they're restarting, right? You have any message to folks like that about how they should be facing life? Again, because I see that you have been wiser with your experiences. So what would your message be?
I would say to the young and even to somebody my age to have a plan, because I was at 20 years old rolling with no plans, just how I'm skilled in this, or I know how to do this, so I can get this job, or I can do this, and that'll make me the lucrative money that I want. But you have to have a solid plan, know how to budget, and understand finances. I didn't understand them at that age. I was just like, okay, I got an apartment, and my job pays me $15. I should be okay. But then I had to think about my car note, insurance. So just understanding finances and having a set budget if you must, because some people don't have to have a budget. They're okay. I was not born with the silver spoon in my mouth. So I learned early from my parents how to budget and just how to go to the bank, just to have a credit card, to know what it is to pay on your credit card. It's not just, free money on this plastic card. Just knowing money by the time you get out of high school is very important. And I'm not talking about math class. I'm talking about finances. So I would just tell people to, make that one thing that you Google, because everybody's always Googling something. Google that. Make sure that you know how to play with and save your money right now in 2023, because it's super hard.
Very well said. Very well said. I hope that folks out there take that lesson to heart and then become more serious about money. I wish the same to you as well, Didi. That you have a lot of experiences, a lot of interesting experiences. You have seen success, you have seen struggle. So I really wish that you take all those experiences and chart out a course for yourself going forward. You may have to do a fresh start, slightly later in life, but it's never too late. I just in the previous podcast, which has not even come out yet, I spoke to a gentleman whose net worth went to zero at age 45. He had to undergo a divorce and a lot of other issues. But within 10 years, he got retired financially. So in 10 years, he built up so much so that he can retire. Of course, in the past, he had those skills, etc., going for him, and his credit score was not in the 500s.
Yeah.
So that's why I was cautioning.
Yes.
Pretty quickly, because he said the moment I got rid of all my payments and I had a fresh start, then he had a lot of money coming in and he had a good job, good credit score, so he could build it pretty quick. But he did go to zero and he was able to build it. So it's not totally impossible, and it can be done provided you have the right intention and right focus. I wish wiser you will really bring that focus elements, right?
Thank you.
And do it. I wish you all the best.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot as well. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was really nice talking to you, Didi. All the best.
And to you. Bye-bye.